So I am Paul Binkley, Dr. Paul Binkley. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Career and Professional Development at the University of Mary Washington. I'm really excited to be here. I love doing this presentation, and I love talking to prospective students. And I particularly enjoy talking about undecided majors or trying to figure out what people want to do, that kind of stuff, because I think it's a lot of fun. It's a good opportunity. So I'm gonna kind of talk at you for a couple minutes, but if you have questions, don't hesitate to throw some stuff into the chat box. Let's see here. I'm noticing now that I can't see the chat box, so I will rely on you, Adam, to kind of tell me if somebody asks a question. Awesome.
That's good.
Anyway, so yeah, if you guys have any questions, please ask. That's what I'm here to help you do, to answer questions and tell you more about Mary Wash. I will tell you that I came to Mary Washington almost 2 years ago. It's June of 2019. And before that, I was working at the Johns Hopkins University up in Baltimore. I was there for 3 years. And before that, I was living in Monrovia, Liberia. I lived there for about 3.5 years. And so kind of been all over the place. But I'm very happy to be at Mary Washington. It's a great place. The people are wonderful. The community is terrific. But anyway, so let me jump into my presentation here. So we're going to talk a bit about, if you don't really know what you want to major in when you go to college. And I think this is, I use this for wherever. If you come to Mary Wash, great. If not, that's okay too. I mean, as you know, most educations you're going to get at a college is going to include these 3 different buckets of kind of classes for you to graduate. So you're going to have your major, you're going to have your general education, kind of your core. A lot of schools call that your core. And then there are those things that are your electives. And it's important to kind of understand the differences between these, because sometimes classes will count, double count, sometimes they won't. It's critically important that you talk to your academic services, your academic advisor, to kind of make sure you're on the right track. But 2 things on here really kind of speak to this concept of the things I'm going to talk about now, kind of your major and your elective. So these are opportunities for you to really explore the things that you're interested in. And I don't know if I mentioned this later in the presentation, but I will tell you that, actually I do, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. A vast majority of people in this country who have a college degree are not doing anything related to their major. And I'll kind of build on that a little bit more, but let me kind of get back to this general education stuff. So the great thing about going to a liberal arts institution like Mary Washington is that you're going to pick up a lot of the skills that you're going to need to be successful wherever you end up going. So a lot of you have maybe have heard the term soft skills when people talk about employment and work, etc. Those are things like communications, teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, and they're kind of important. They're like really very important. And in fact, to the point where I'm trying to start a national movement around stop not using the term soft skills anymore and calling them success skills. Because if you don't have those skills, you're going to find it very difficult to kind of succeed wherever you go. And so the general education here at Mary Washington, and at most liberal arts institutions, but very much at Mary Washington, includes kind of 3 areas. They're going to help you kind of build those success skills. You have the foundations, the first year seminar, which is a great opportunity for you to transition into college, build a really good community for yourself, meet a lot of great people, and know as much as you can about the services and tools that are available to you while you're in college. You're going to learn things about writing intensive classes, speaking intensive classes, languages, those types of things. So those are the foundations. Those are kind of the basics that you need to kind of build your education upon. Then there's the methodology side of stuff, the methods around research, qualitative research. How do you really know if you're researching something appropriately? How do you know if you're fully getting into the real problem or the real root cause of something? Those classes are going to help you do it. And arts, literature, humanities, natural sciences, they all have different kind of structures on how to do that. And so you're going to pick up a lot of that great information and continue to build these skills. And then there's the connections part of it, which is kind of, okay, we've got the foundation, we've got the, how do we build upon the foundation with the methods? And now we're going to connect everything that you're learning with the outside world. So the digital intensive stuff, the diversity and global perspectives. And then the 2 that I really like are the Beyond the Classroom and the After Mary Washington courses. So the Beyond the Classroom is things like undergraduate research, volunteering, working on campus, kind of getting out of the classroom and applying what you're learning. And then the after Mary Washington is really kind of my bread and butter. Okay, so how are you setting yourself up to be successful after this? And so a lot of classes are designated as such. They're going to help prepare you and get you the kind of the, how do you write a good resume? How do you network? How do you find people who are doing things that you think are really cool? And so that's kind of what the general education is going to do for you at Mary Washington. And but if you're not, if you don't really know kind of, okay, I gotta pick a major. I've got the general education thing down. Now I gotta pick a major. I don't know what I want to do. That's great. I love that. It's not a problem. Not knowing what you want to major in, it's not a problem. It's an opportunity in my mind. In fact, I tend to really enjoy working with students who aren't quite sure, because they're open to a lot of great things. When I work with students who know exactly where they want to go and what they want to do, I get a little concerned because they tend to have blinders on. They don't really kind of take into account other things that might enhance or deepen what they're learning. That doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes. Those students who don't really know, it's like, okay, let's have a great time with this. And what I like to do when I start talking to students is about this is, let's look at kind of the reality, kind of where we are at this moment in this country and around higher education, generally speaking. I mentioned earlier the concept that most people are not doing something related to their major. And I can tell you, I was a social science major and I had 5 minors. And the people look at me like, you're crazy. Well, these are things that I was really interested in at the time, like history and poli-sci and theology, as a matter of fact. But I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. My major set me up. I went to a liberal arts institution as well. Something else to keep in mind is that a vast majority of all the jobs that are out there are found not online, but through at least one degree of separation. And so knowing people, knowing people who are doing things you think is really cool is important. We've kind of learned that. That's kind of been reinforced this past year with COVID. Being away from people all the time is not something that is helps us be healthy individuals. And so it's important to meet people and to talk to people doing fun stuff, interesting stuff. Something else to keep in mind too is that 40 to 45% of all the jobs in this country right now are gig work, is gig work, or it's consulting. And that kind of connects with all this, because it's like, okay, so to do that successfully, you really need to know people, right? And to be a good consultant, you need to really know your stuff. You are the product you're offering, and so you need to know your stuff. Therefore, you need to really feel like you're excited about the thing that you become an expert at. And that relates to the next bullet point, which is employers really want employees who are sticky. And by that, I mean, they want people who are going to stick around a long time. And what that happens mostly when you like what you do. The average amount of time people spend at jobs now is kind of been reduced or decreased in the last 10 or 15 years. But employers like it when you stick around for 3, 5, 10 years because you want to be there. And that's why it's important for you to have a really good idea of what it is you're interested in and to pursue it and to go into that direction. Also, the really, really interesting thing I think is, when you guys stop and think about it, the job that you're going to have 4, 5, 6 years after you graduate from college probably doesn't exist right now. The way that the world of work is going now, this is what they call an age of acceleration. New jobs, new tasks, new duties are kind of being created all the time. And so you don't really know exactly what you'll be doing because it maybe doesn't exist right now. So again, it's really important to focus on yourself and what you're interested in. So kind of that leads me to this little kind of graphic, which, a lot of people assume that success is this straight line. All the podcasts and the Netflix shows and all the things that we're watching only show you kind of, this person went here and now they're here, they're doing amazing things. Well, in reality, success or happiness kind of really looks more like the little arrow on the right. There are a lot of twists and turns. We learn from those things. If we were a straight line, we would not be as, I guess, intelligent or aware or educated about the world in our lives as we are when we experience things. Life is a process, but feeling comfortable with that, change is really hard. But being comfortable with it and knowing it's a process and going with it really is another kind of way for you to explore, what is it that I really want to do? Because you are the common denominator in all this, right? you are the person who is with yourself 24/7. And so you should try to be as true to who you are and what you're interested in as possible, which, will change many, many times, which is great. So one of the things that we do at Mary Washington to help you kind of explore that and to feel more comfortable with it, and most importantly, have a lot of sympathy and compassion for yourself in this process, is we offer a course that's built around this concept of design thinking, which is design thinking came out of kind of the engineering discipline, but has really blossomed from there. And I kind of just want to go through this with you to give you the main tenets of design thinking, to give you something to think about, and to feel more comfortable with the not knowing. Not knowing is good. So what we do in this class when we start talking about design thinking or designing your life, and that book is what we use there on the left, we start with empathy. You want to start with empathy for your customer. In this particular case, the empathy is for yourself. We want to be comfortable with who we are and know that we're going to make mistakes. It's fine. When we get curious about something, we try things, we're going to make mistakes, but I'm going to be comfortable with myself. And being curious is really kind of, in my mind, one of the most important tenets of this. I don't like using the word passion a lot because I think it creates a lot of stress. I'm sure all of you have heard this. Well, you've got to follow your passion. You got to do what you're passionate about. And well, what if I don't really know what my passion is? What if I don't really feel it? And if I have to ask, then I definitely don't know what it is yet. So I'm in trouble? No, absolutely not. What we want to encourage you to do is be curious, follow your curiosity, have confidence in following your curiosity. And then over time, what you'll do is you will build your passion. You will build into it. But that requires that we kind of get out of our own head and we try things. We have a bias towards action. And this means we become immune to failure because we all make mistakes, like I said earlier. Kind of not dwelling on those mistakes and recognizing them as opportunities to learn is critical. And we go through this quite a bit. Building resilience around, okay, so I really messed up on this one paper, this one test. This whole college thing is new to me. I'm making tons of mistakes. What do I do there? Well, let's reframe that and look at them as opportunities to build upon who you are and learn. And that gets into, again, reframing. So what is the real problem? If I keep failing this test or I'm not really getting how to write a paper, let me reframe that. Maybe I don't really quite understand. Maybe I don't really have all the information I need or data or what have you, or maybe it's not being presented to me in a way that I readily understand it or kind of gravitate towards. So how do I reframe that question? Identifying the true or the right problem is as important in building a well-designed life as finding the solution to that problem. If we spend a lot of time banging our head against the wall, trying to solve what we call gravity problems, so we're not going to do very well. Gravity problems are those things we just can't get around it. Gravity is just something we can't beat, right? So why try to keep solving that problem when in reality we can't do anything about it? Let's focus on what the real problem is, the wicked problems, which is what design thinkers kind of call them. It's just problems that are really tough, are really difficult, but they are actionable, they are solvable. They may take time, but we'll solve them. And the way we do that is, part of the way we do it is recognizing that life is not a destination, life is a process. We may identify the right problem, we may feel comfortable with making mistakes, we may be very curious about something, but if we expect to be done with something at a certain date and have the exact right answer, it's going to make life a lot more difficult. Life is a process. We learn every day that we are alive. And then one of the best ways to kind of accept that and kind of live life to the fullest is to realize that you are not alone. At Mary Washington, we have this great community of faculty and staff who are here to help you be successful. And what we want you to do is ask for help as much as possible for this process, design thinking, but also for everything. Ideas thrive and grow when they are shared with other people. And we really encourage you to do that here at Mary Washington. That is one of the most important things that we do in this class and at the university itself. So in career services, what we do, we follow these core principles around design thinking. We really encourage curiosity and in turn kind of helping you build your confidence. Again, I don't want you to be stressed about trying to find your passion, that one thing you're supposed to do with the rest of your life. No, I want you to really, what is it that I'm curious about right now? I remember when I was in college, I used to get really sick of that question. I'd go home for Thanksgiving or the holidays, what have you. People would always say, so what are you going to do with that major? What job are you going to get? What do you mean you're a social science major? What could you possibly do with that? What I wanted to do, or now I know better, I want to reframe that to what is the thing that I'm most curious about right now and really explore it. So I don't know what my major is yet. Let me explore what is it that really is exciting me. We're also kind of building on those principles in the Career Center. We really encourage people to make experiential connections. Everything that you're going to do in college is going to be part and parcel of your experience and kind of the process of your life, right? So we want you to do a study abroad, do some research, shadow a doctor if you're interested in pre-health, do an internship, volunteer somewhere, work on campus. Working on campus as a student employee is a great way to kind of build skills, to build a community and make a little money, and then also feel more confident about your life at Mary Wash. We want you to really put your all into your course projects, your major papers, your capstone course projects, what have you. Those are great ways for you to bring it all together. And then we want to help you connect with alumni because, again, it's all about kind of knowing people, and you are not alone. We want you to practice radical collaboration. So if you're interested in, about an hour ago, I was talking to a student who was really interested in immunology, but didn't know a whole lot about it. Okay, let's find an alum who is in immunology, who majored in that, who's doing it, whatever, and let's have a conversation. They want to talk to you. And then we really harp on this thing, the concept of success skills. We want you really to recognize that what you're learning in your general eds and your major and your electives is skills that are going to help you be successful in whatever you end up doing. There was some research that came out not too long ago from, I believe, Georgetown University, the Center for Education and Work, talking about how a liberal arts education over the course of your life will mean people who go into a liberal arts education or do a liberal arts college degree end up making a lot more money over time, over 30 or 40 years, than if they had done like a engineering degree or a business degree solely. And I honestly believe that's because you're picking up a lot of the skills you need to be successful in life. The other thing we do is we really, really get into building communities and networking. You know, there's a note on here on the screen now about the Career Advisors Network. Every major has a faculty member who is designated as the career advisor. We work with those faculty to help them learn the tools and resources to better help students too. So you are not alone. It's all about the community. It's all about putting your ideas out there and talking to as many people as you can. So what we then do is we want you to help connect your kind of academics with your interests and your curiosity. You are the driver of your education, right? And so as you kind of explore majors, talk to as many people as you can, get involved as much as you want. Everybody does it a little bit differently. But everything that you do is kind of building into this kind of exploration of what you're interested in studying. I've known a lot of students over the years who will come to me and say, you know, I got to go to pre-med, I got to go to med school, I got to become a doctor. And they will be miserable. They will be failing their classes. They can't get through chemistry, all these kinds of things. But it will come out in our conversations that they are really big into photography. And I can tell when we have those conversations that their energy, that's where their energy is. That's where their real kind of curiosity and excitement lay. And so I kind of build that out and say, what would happen if you put pre-med aside and focused on photography? And then we start having a conversation about how you can use that interest in photography in the medical field. So exploring and being pulled forward. What I say a lot of times is I want you to be pulled forward by something that excites you than to be pushed forward from behind by something that maybe you're not overly into. That's really what kind of the liberal arts education is all about at Mary Washington. We've got a list of things, you know, we've got faculty clubs, student employment, service learning, and so much more. We've got all these offices and more listed on the bottom. They're going to help you kind of do this. So follow that curiosity. Now, typically what I do is I do this presentation with the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and then he goes through all these really good examples of undergraduate research. Students who've done really interesting things researching with faculty that have kind of built a career from there, or not. I mean, sometimes they'll do these great research things, research activities, then they're doing something a little bit different. But I tell you what, they remember these experiences and they build upon them because they're building a lot of great skills and connections. So this is also an example of kind of how the beyond the classroom works as well. You're going to have an opportunity to really do a lot of great undergraduate research. You're going to find faculty who you connect with, and they're going to be excited about it too. There's a lot of great stuff going on here. I'm just reminding myself of what I'm looking in the screen here. Some examples, some of the research that students have done, restoration dive in Bonaire in the Caribbean. That was undergraduate research that a couple students did. Actually, I think they do it every year with a faculty member in the environmental studies department. Going to the Galapagos Islands and again, more environmentally focused. You don't necessarily have to be that to get to do this, but it's a great opportunity. Studying abroad in Thailand. I don't know if that I would have stood that close to elephants, but okay, it worked. So, study abroad is amazing. I encourage as many people as often as I can to get out of this country, experience new cultures, even for a short amount of time. And we really try to weave those opportunities into the education here at Mary Washington. So again, let me just kind of recap, and I'm going to shut up, and then I'm going to answer your questions because that's really what I want to do, really what I'm excited about. We want you when you get here, when you start exploring your curiosities, to start with empathy for yourself. Know that you're going to make mistakes and move forward and look at them as an opportunity. Be curious. Like I said, follow your curiosity. We're going to build your passion. We're going to help you kind of follow things that you're interested in that may change. Maybe you follow something and you don't like it. Great. That's an important lesson to learn. We're going to have you try stuff. Instead of being in here all the time, we're going to have you doing things out in the real world and interacting with other people and learning to kind of learn from your mistakes. We're going to help you reframe the process or reframe the problem, and then also recognize that life is a process. And we're here to help you. You're not alone. You're never alone at Mary Washington. People are so friendly and ready to help in every possible way that they can. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to open it up to the floor and answer any questions you might have, or try to anyway. What do you guys think? What's going on in your heads? And feel free. Go ahead, Cassidy.
Oh, sorry, thank you. When do you have to choose a major?
I believe that you have to declare a major. The latest you can do that is at the end of your sophomore year. I do know sometimes that students have waited longer than that, but you're highly, highly encouraged to do it by then. I will tell you guys that the sooner you kind of pick a major, the better. And in fact, this semester, I'm piloting a new program where I'm trying to help first-year students choose a major before the end of their first year. You can always change your major. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you do it, the sooner you do it, the better you can start trying things out. And if you change, the better it is, the sooner you've done it, if that makes sense. But I do know that by the end of your sophomore year, you have to have declared, or we highly, highly encourage you to do that. Ben asked how soon are students able to participate in abroad programs? I believe that you have to be a sophomore. I mean, Adam, you can double check that for me. But I believe that they do not let first-year students go abroad, or it's rare. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, definitely rare. Generally, we like you to get your feet under you and get kind of the college thing under your belt before we let you go abroad. But tons of opportunities to go abroad, whether it's for a full semester, some of those other trips Paul was mentioning already, but tons of opportunities, but generally after that first year.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities through other institutions that you can take advantage of. A lot of study abroad programs now are including internships abroad as well. So that's something to keep in mind. That's a great opportunity to kind of to work in another country, to the culture. I would encourage you to, if you guys, if you don't know a foreign language or you don't feel comfortable with a foreign language, still go to those countries. I mean, I studied abroad in Austria, and although I had taken what felt like many years of German, my German wasn't very good. It was an amazing experience. Even with the language barriers, I was able to make some of my closest friends, long-term friends. So I'd encourage you to do that. Flynn, can you go abroad multiple years? Not for a year each time, but maybe like a semester. I believe so. I don't know about semester wise, but I do know there are a lot of our students who will do shorter term study abroad, like a week or 2 weeks, or maybe like J term kind of length. I think typically what's more likely is that a student will do a year abroad as opposed to doing maybe one fall term abroad and coming back and do another fall term abroad. I'm not saying it isn't possible, but I think it would take a fair amount of advanced planning too. Good question though, very good question. What else? Don't be shy, hop in. Does anybody here kind of know what they want to major in or have a pretty good idea? And want to share? Anyone? Okay, Ben, great. Conservation biology. History or English? Good. Thanks, Cassidy. I will tell you that when I was in college, my mother, who I love very much, I was originally going to be a history major, and she said to me, well, Paul, why would you want to be a history major? There's no future in history. Sorry, bad joke. But history is an amazing program or major to prepare yourself for pretty much anything. All the majors are, honestly. English is a really good one as well. Cassidy, you've heard that exact same thing from career counselors about history? Okay, I have to have a conversation with them. I love history. Unfortunately, yeah, that's not good. Ben, good question. How do you find internships through UMW? So there's a lot of different ways to do it. You know, in all honesty, a lot of our students will find internships on their own, whether it's through faculty, through family, through friends, what have you. But a lot of it is, again, kind of following what you're curious about. We have an online platform called Handshake that we use. One thing we use it for is helping students find internships. I will tell you that on a daily basis, we probably get 150 to 200 new internship announcements that are posted there that we have to approve. And they're all over the country, all over the world. Another great way to find them is connecting with alumni through LinkedIn. I would tell you a lot of students find internships or build their own internships kind of just by connecting with people. You know, if you find an alum online and say, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing, you start a conversation. And at some point you say, hey, what about if I were to come intern with you? And there it is, an internship is born. So like I said, there are a lot of students who do internships on their own. There are a lot of students who do internships for credit. For example, I believe one of the departments or one of the majors that requires that is the psych department, psychology. They have a kind of a list or a catalog of organizations and opportunities that students tend to kind of focus on when they're looking to satisfy the internship requirement. But we have students who do a lot of different things all over that. I think it's amazing some of the internships they're doing, and particularly given where we are located, like almost equally distant from DC and Richmond, it opens up a ton of opportunity. And I will tell you that with COVID, a lot more opportunity has opened up. And a lot of our students haven't recognized, a lot of students around the country haven't recognized this, is that because internships and jobs have kind of gone virtual, a lot of companies are recognizing that they can really expand the market in which they're advertising their internships. So if you were interested in doing an internship, say with, I don't know, data analysis company based out of Seattle, you could do it from right here in Fredericksburg. So there's a lot more opportunity that way. One other thing that we just launched actually yesterday was a 0 credit internship option. And so a lot of students take advantage, or I hope will take advantage of that over the summer, because you know, if you want to do an internship and the employer says it has to be part of your academic transcript, one way to avoid having to pay tuition for that over the summer is to do this 0 credit class. And so we're hoping to kind of encourage a lot more students to do internships because of that. So you do, one of the things that I really hate, there's a couple things. One is unpaid internships. 2 is making students pay to do an unpaid internship. And so this is one way we're trying to get around that. Anyway, that was a really long answer to your question, Ben? Very good question, though. Sure, happy to do it. Trying to think of what else. What other questions do you guys have? What else can I talk at you about? This is your time. What about UMW, or what are some of the questions or concerns you have about UMW or Fredericksburg, or I don't know, the upcoming Major League Baseball season? Anything? Adam, is there anything out there that students have been asking about quite a bit lately that maybe would be valuable to these students?
Trying to think off the top of my head. You guys are quiet tonight, huh?
Mm.
Let's see here. You know, I think a lot of students are talking about, you know, what we're doing with COVID, right? Where we just had our accepted students chat with President Pano the other night, which for all of those who weren't available can check that out on our YouTube page. We have an awesome YouTube page that the admissions office has set up to for those of you who weren't able to come to some other sessions we've been having. That's a great resource to utilize to go check out some other fantastic sessions that a number of departments on campus have been doing over the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a great resource right there. I think one thing you'll find about Mary Washington, just like this session and a number of others, we're here to support you in any way we can, right? I think that's what's so great about the community at Mary Washington is the opportunities to connect, not only when you're on campus or as an upperclassman, but now during your first year on campus, and really create those relationships that lead to success.
Yeah, you know, I've worked at and worked for a lot of different colleges and universities around the world, and Mary Washington is the one institution that I have been most impressed with in terms of how friendly, how community oriented it is. You know, a lot of institutions will say, we're community oriented, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of them may be, but this is kind of the proof is in the pudding here for sure. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that one, Adam. So what process do we have to go through to change our major? Typically it's you'll talk to your advisor. If I understand it correctly, it's basically just some forms you have to fill out. You probably have to go down to academic services and have them help you with that, or the registrar. I don't think it's very difficult. I think it's a really good idea to stay in touch and communicate as much as you can with your academic advisor. So when it comes time, you know, kind of the logistics of changing a major, like is it going to be a huge change? You're going to have to take a lot more classes, what have you. They have that conversation as you're thinking about it. Again, we want you to communicate with as many people as you can about these things, to share your ideas, to vet them, to kind of, you know, kick the tires a little bit, so to speak, and really understand as much as you can about it to the point where you feel comfortable with it. And all of us are ready to help you with that because we want you to be successful. And you will be regardless. You come outside the other side of Mary Washington, you're going to have a really strong quality education for sure. Cassidy, do you have to get your COVID vaccine before you come on campus? That's a good question that I don't know the answer to. I should. Adam, do they need to have their vaccine?
That's one thing I wish I knew the answer to as well. Not sure off the top of my head, to be honest with you, Cassidy.
Right.
I'm sorry.
At this point, something tells me that you do not, but you do have to be tested. But everybody's been tested, or I think most students here are tested.
Yep, they were especially the students that came back. They were tested prior to coming on campus for second semester, and we do testing throughout the semester as well, just to make sure everything's going as planned. So
Sure.
I would assume that probably, as you said, Paul, that won't be the case, but we are planning on moving forward with classes
Absolutely.
on campus in the fall for sure.
We're so excited about that.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we're excited for it to, you know, the Mary Wash we love is when we're able to have those connections right in person. So
Yeah.
if it can be anywhere close to what that usually is. We'll be really excited to have Mary Wash back to like the way
Right.
of it, right?
And I will say, a lot of my colleagues around the state at other universities have been really impressed with how well Mary Washington has done with the whole COVID thing, because our numbers have been really low. And that's because of the community. I mean, everywhere, everybody on campus is wearing a mask. Everybody is, doing what they need to do, doing their part for the greater good. I've been really, really impressed by that too. I mean, every time I go to campus, which is pretty much every day now that I go, it's really impressive how aware and how friendly and how kind of responsible the students, faculty, staff, everybody is.
Like that again goes to caring for everyone on campus and
Yep.
and caring for your neighbor and whatnot. So
Absolutely.
yeah, awesome. Any last questions before we let you all go for your Thursday evening? Sure thing.
Yeah, happy to do it, Ryan. Yeah, I'm excited about the coming year. I hope you guys are going to join us in the fall, because I think Mary Washington will really, really do you proud. I think it's a really good institution.
I am putting my email in the chat now for everyone. Feel free to reach out. Happy to connect about really any next steps or anything you need going forward. So thanks again all for hopping on with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
I put the Career Center's email in there too, so feel free
Perfect.
to email that.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. You all have a great night. See you now. Thanks, Paul.